Big pick five carryover tonight at Canterbury Park, starting in race five. 50 cent minimum, 10% takeout. I think the carryover is around 90,000 or something like that. Last night there was one guy alive to three horses. It was paying almost $250,000. This is a great bet. If you're a horse player, you have to play this pick five tonight at Canterbury Park. And they're not paying me anything to say this. They don't even know who I am. Maybe they will one day. Maybe they'll know who LoneSpeed is one day, but not right now. Anyway, let's take a look at this pick five starting in race five. And I think a lot of people are going to single number 6, Mr. Jägermeister, in here. And I can understand why. He'll be winging it by himself early. He's got 7 wins and a second from 9 career starts here at Canterbury. I have a little bit of a concern that Mr. Jägermeister may not be in the best form. I understand that in his last 3 starts at Oaklawn, he was facing much tougher than he'll face in here. There's no doubt about that. So perhaps it's not totally fair to say that he's off form. But I'm looking at him, and he finished last of 5th in his last start, 6th of 7 the start before that. Last of 7 the start before that, granted against better. But I just don't have warm, fuzzy feelings about Mr. Jägermeister in here. I'm not stupid enough to exclude him completely from the ticket. That's why I've got him as a B. Now, that I'm not sure that actually means anything. I'm going to wait and see what the final scratches look like. I'm probably going to play a caveman ticket with all 3 of my top picks in here. The one that interests me the most in terms of a value play, a horse that I think many folks will overlook, is number 4, Fireman Oscar. Comes out of a turf race at Tampa where he ran pretty well. The thing that does concern me a little bit about him is in those 2 winter starts in January and February at Tampa, came from off the pace and got really fast paces to chase into. Both of them were sub 45-second opening half miles, and he wasn't able to get there. Did lose to the ill-fated Zenden 2 back in the Pelican at Tampa. I think Fireman Oscar, especially if we get some rain tonight. There's some, as I'm recording this, it's only 3:45 in the afternoon here on the East Coast. So we have several hours until post time. But word is there may be some rain headed towards Canterbury Park. If that happens, Fireman Oscar I think moves up. But even if it's a fast, dry racetrack, I like this one to come from off the pace in a race where we could see some very quick early fractions. The one that I think is the most likely upsetter to Mr. Jägermeister is the 1, Hot Shot Kid. Comes out of Oaklawn, needed that race, has run very, very well at Canterbury before, 13 wins from 19 starts here. Tactical enough to, has enough early foot, I think, to be close and not let Mr. Jägermeister get too far ahead of him, and has enough closing kick to be able to run that one down. This one's lost to some others in here. You can see in the running lines. He's, some of these horses I think are better around 2 turns. Like Drop of Golden Sun is going to be a hot pick for others. He'll probably be sitting just behind Mr. Jägermeister early. Had a good workout, but I think that one's probably better against this level of competition going 2 turns. Although that race at Will Rogers Downs in the mud, the first start since September, was strong, even though he lost as a big odds-on favorite. So I'm not going to use the 5 for me. I'm definitely using the 1 and the 4, and I'm not going to exclude Mr. Jägermeister. If I end up playing multiple tickets, I may try to get cute and key on the 1 and the 4. But in all likelihood, if any number you see up here is a horse that's going to be part of my caveman ticket. Moving on to race number 6, leg 2. Let's first focus on the favorite that I'm really lukewarm on, and that's number 7, Drama Chorus. Comes out of that Tampa race. The same race that another horse in here that we'll get to in a minute also came out of. That was that one's first start since last July. So I think you can excuse the losing effort. Alonso Quinones stays aboard for Tim Padilla, who won a 2 on opening night. This one I think will be the early leader, especially with the scratch of this 8. Now that the 8 is out, I think you can assume that Drama Chorus is probably going to be the early pace setter. The 6, Well Read, is going to get some support, the first-time starter. But the 2 that I'm really interested in are the 4, Fallen Empire, and the 5, Hypnotic Rhythm. Fallen Empire comes out of the same race as Drama Chorus. It was Fallen Empire's first start that day, and he got bet down to 7-1. And we see that Dramacorus was 12-1 in that same race, having made 9 previous starts. I think Fallen Empire is a big candidate to take a step forward in start number 2. Gets blinkers for David Van Winkle, who won 2 out of 3 last night. I'm also interested in number 5, Hypnotic Rhythm. Has a win here, not a win here at Canterbury, but a good effort in the career debut at Canterbury. Then took a little time off and came back at Keeneland, finished 4th of 11 at Keeneland, a maiden special weight race for 2-year-olds. Not easy to do. Went to Churchill for start number 3, 7 furlongs. Something probably went wrong that day because we see the low buyer, and then off until April. Came back in the 5.5 furlong sprint at Oaklawn and just was never really involved. Broke okay, actually, but it was a steady retreat from there. I think you can excuse that as the first start off a layoff. Probably didn't really want that 5.5 distance that quickly after the long layoff. So I think you can excuse the race from the 5 there. So for me, in leg number 2, it's going to be focus on the 4 and the 5. Also use the 7 again because I'm not going to throw out a horse that looks like such an obvious win candidate. I'm just a little lukewarm on the 7, so I'm not going to again, if I play multiple tickets, it'll be keying the 4 and the 5. Going on to race number 7, leg number 3. Everyone gets an A in here. Why? Because I spent about 15, 20 minutes looking over this race and, beating $7,500 claimers going a mile on the turf. Not really my jam. I didn't want to spend any more time watching replays and trying to figure out who had the bad trip last time. And I think I've gone so slim in the other legs that I can afford to use all 11 in here, assuming all 11 go. Still several hours until we know who the actual scratches are going to be. So again, this is the easy way out, but not just because I'm lazy. It's because I didn't want to get into worrying about who was going to fire a big shot in here. Now, what you should know is what's probably going to happen is the favorite will win this leg, because whenever I use the all button, it's one of the top 2 choices that wins. You can bank on that, but maybe I'm doing you a favor here by using the all button so you can just key on the logical horses. Let's move on to leg 4, race 8. State bred, non-winners of 1 other than going 5.5. And I'm going to go 4 deep in here with maybe a little lighter on one of them. The 4 that I like are the 6, Molly's Angel, who is actually a 13-length winner sprinting against state-bred maiden allowance horses in here, and then caught the slop at start number 2, and then ran okay-ish at Hawthorne, and then went to Tampa in the stakes race, took some time off, came back in a turf event at Tampa, running a career best buyer. So you got to think that whatever went wrong there at the end of last year, it was fixed, and you base that on the strong return on April 30th at Tampa. So I think this one is very live and already has a win over the track. Knight's Honor is one that I'm a little bit I'm not quite as high on that one, but I think Knight's Honor is going to be up close, and that's one I don't want to leave off my ticket. Again, it's not a strong play. You certainly want to be bet this horse to win, but I'm going to include the 7 just because I think I can afford to, because I've gone so slim most places. The 8, Midnight Current, is obvious. Already has a win here, and I think is a definite win candidate even off the long layoff. The 10, Sailing Along, I think from that outside post probably figures to get the early lead. Was a 6-length winner at Will Rogers Downs, so we don't really know for sure what that one was beating. But I definitely think that the 10 and the 7 are 2 that figure to be up close early, and I'm going to use them. I think the 8 is probably going to run a big race, and I think the 6 is the interesting horse that you have to include. Maybe the 6 is your Molly's Angel is your separator horse, that horse that a lot of folks don't use, but I will certainly be using. So that's leg 4, and then in the final leg, a mile on the dirt, I'm going to go 2 deep with emphasis on the 1, and your guess is as good. Is that Tukobe, Twokobe? I'm not exactly sure, but something I noticed about this one for trainer Tony Rengstorff, only shows 2 recent works, and that might dissuade some people, might scare them off. But if we look at what this trainer has done recently, including last night, ran a number of horses here that were off long layoffs. That would be nice. Finished second at 14-1, beaten just a length. And we see the same workout pattern here. No workouts after September, and then two May workouts came back last night and almost won at a big price. So I'm not concerned about that. Very reasonable to assume these horses were training somewhere else, and that you have more than two works there to establish fitness. And then the other one that I like is number 4, Market Analysis. This one ran 6th, split the field in the Tampa Bay Derby a little over a year ago. Start number 2 of his career. That was for Todd Pletcher. Was bet to 6-1 that day, and I think has a little bit of a class advantage over many of these. One thing you'll notice about the horses in here, you see most of them, not all, but started for a $10,000 claiming price, started for $15,000 maiden. Again, 10 claimers. 15. This one was claimed for 15, claimed for 10. We can go on and on and on. 62.50, the 10. So the thing about the 4 that I like is I think has been facing better and has only been in for a tag once in his career, and one actually didn't win that day, finished 4th, but was claimed that day. And then the 1 you can see has, as far as I can see, never been offered for a tag. In fact, certainly has not recently run for a tag. No, I don't see any time eligible to be claimed. So and I know that there's the layoff, but I'm just not that worried about it. I think the 1 and the 4 are classier. So reviewing the entire sequence, we're going to go 3 deep in the opener with an emphasis on the 1 and the 4, and then 3 deep in leg 2 with an emphasis on the 4 and the 5. And I say emphasis, it's probably going to be a caveman ticket. I don't know. But we're using the all button in leg number 3. We are going 4 deep in leg number 4. And we are going 2 deep in leg, the final leg. I think this comes to $164. I typed that on my calculator, but I deleted it. I'm fairly certain that's what this costs if you play for 50 cents. So best of luck. It's a great bet. You got to play it tonight. Go get them.